Look at that crescent moon. You can't see it much on this camera. There's a lovely crescent moon up there. Beautiful sunset. Perfect, isn't it? Yeah. Hospital porter's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. And welcome to this, my video about something I'm sure, if I don't make this video, some of you guys are going to ask me about anyway. And I'm referring, of course, to the event which has shocked the nation. The tragic death by violence of Sarah Everard. I don't know if she's any relation to Christopher. To make this video, I've come here to this park here. I mean, there's lots of parks near where I live. This is about 1.5 miles from where I live, but it's much more pleasant, and you get a lovely sunset here when the sky's clear. There's a lovely crescent moon. I come here, but the reason I come here is because I think I want to just enjoy a walk where it's dusk. I mean, by the time this film is finished, it will probably be night time. It's about 6:30 in the evening, and it's mid-March, which means it's sunset around about now. And therefore, I want to come and see this lovely sight here in front of me. I'll show you some more in a minute, because this is where you get the famous Dreaming Spires view. This is South Park. There's a lot of people playing sports around me, so I'll sort of try and avoid them. But you know, everyone's heard of this now, of course, and I thought you guys are going to ask me about it, so I need to make a video about it, I think, because there's an awful lot associated with this, which I think needs to be addressed. A lot of what I'm going to say in this video is going to upset some of you. It's going to offend some of you. I don't care. I make no apologies for anything I say in this video at all. I think it's necessary. Sarah Everard was a young woman from London who was 33 years old, not much older than my daughter. I was walking across Clapham Common, which is it's an open beauty spot, a park in London, which is not unlike South Park here in Oxford, quite well known. Then this happened on the 3rd of March. She was just leaving her friend's home about 9 PM. Never got home. No one's seen her again. No one saw her since. The point of separation, as David Paulides calls it, was leaving her friend's house. I suppose that if that had been the end of the story, then it wouldn't have even made the news. She had just been listed as one more missing person out of hundreds and hundreds that go missing. About over 100 per month, I think, in this country. I don't know the exact estimate. I know at one point it was about 100 a month who do go missing for various reasons. Some of them turn up and are found safely. Others are never seen again, and no one ever finds out what happens to them. But this particular missing person did make the news because very quickly the police made an arrest. They actually found somebody who had who they believe had kidnapped her. And that's when I think it hit the news, not least because who the person was, who I'll talk about in a minute. Last Wednesday, actually, they found a body. It was in Ashford, Kent, quite a distance from where Sarah Everard went missing. And then it was identified as Sarah pretty soon afterwards that, and the kidnapping investigation became a murder investigation. And right. That's the basics of the story, but of course that's not the end of the story, by any means. It's been a while since I triggered the feminists. Should I trigger the femmes? Yeah, I'm going to trigger the femmes.
Trigger warning. Trigger warning. The following opinions are extremely offensive, inappropriate, and problematic. Trigger warning.
Oh, we begin, yes. This is obviously a horrific It's a horrific situation, and the parents and the loved ones of Sarah Everard have my deepest condolences. But that's not going to stop me being critical of the public response to the death of this poor young woman. The murder, it looks like it's a murder. I mean, it's been called a death at the moment. There's been no official ruling yet, but the death. The response was immediately there was a well, it was called a tribute, technically, on Clapham Common, where about a couple of thousand women, I think men were banned from the event, I don't know, but a couple of thousand women turned up with candle lights, and they had what was called a vigil. It was broken up by the police because of COVID regulations, but even before that happened, it degenerated into what can only be described as an Orwellian hate week. It was the usual thing that whenever there's a crime like this, an atrocity like this is committed, as sure as night follows day, you can absolutely depend that a bunch of bloody feminists are going to come crawling out of their holes to parasite off it for their own agenda. They're going to exploit it. And indeed, they had no qualms at all about doing so. None whatsoever. I've forgotten the name of the awful cow in the House of Lords. Apparently it was one of the Green Party's peers. They do have a couple. She stood up and said, maybe there should be a curfew for men, rather than women having to walk in fear. Maybe men should be forced to stay at home and then they can have some of that fear, or something like that. Now, she said afterwards she was only joking, but this was picked up and run with by several people. And it was talked about seriously by including the First Minister of Wales, whose name I can't remember. Some silly old goat. I can't remember. I think he's played Cymru. He's a silly old goat. I don't know who he is, but he was interviewed about it and he started talking about it seriously. Jess Phillips, Jess, I wouldn't even vote for you, Phillips, stood up in Parliament and said, she read out the names of all the women who'd been killed when the perpetrator was a man. Only white men, of course. I suppose it was only white men. She actually wrote and read the names out. I don't care about people who were killed by anyone else. Nor did she read out the names of any men who actually... Actually, I think it's 280% more likely to be the victims to actually die by the hand of another than women. You see, that the feminists, as they always do, are portraying this as something bigger. They're portraying it as a bigger problem that's more organised, more systemic. They're basically saying that they're politicising what happened to Sarah. They're saying, it was a... you see the dreaming saucers behind me there? The dreaming saucers, dreaming spires there, you see. Lovely sunset. Pastel shades and all that, yeah. Sorry, they're getting poetic. They're portraying what happened to Sarah Everard as a systemic problem. It's basically men basically are killing women deliberately. Only white men, of course, are on basically a subconscious, tacit conspiracy to kill women. So basically, I'm out here now in a park. It's almost night time. I'm a white man, and I'm a part of that problem. According to the feminists, I basically have a dagger in my pocket, and I'm waiting to slash the throat of any woman I can find. It's such insulting nonsense. It's unbelievable. But that's what they believe. They literally believe the state is giving white men permission to kill women. As absurd as that is, they're talking about it seriously, and this goes up to the very highest level. I mean, if you want to say, well, it's only a few crazy extremists. Well, radical feminists are in power. They're actually running. They're deliberately put in power as part of this weaponization of women against society in general. I interviewed Beata van Berkem. I know her quite well. I've interviewed her a few times. You probably know her best as the tinfoil hat lady. You may have seen her videos, they're very good. We had a bit long discussion about this, and she said, she said, you know, I'm against feminism, I said to her. She said, yeah, I'm against feminism too. And I said, Beata, why are you against feminism? She says, I've got a son. That's all she needed to say. She has a son, a young man. He's a young white adult. Need I say any more? Of course she's against feminism. She's against an evil philosophy that's dedicated to destroying his life. Yeah. So basically the hate week on Clapham Common was broken up by the police. That was kind of, you'd think would be the end of it. Luckily, I mean, I could say a lot more about this particular element, but I've said enough. Actually, you know, as always with things like this, the guy should go to is Sargon of Akkad. He has deconstructed this nonsense better than anyone else. And so if you go to his channel, it's Podcast of the Lotus Eaters. He's done a very, very good job, actually, of detraction on all this evil. So go there instead.
Trigger warning over. Special snowflakes can now emerge from their safe spaces.
Now, this malicious hoax by feminists needs to be exposed, and Sargon has done a very, very good job of exposing that. Several others have as well, but that's not the end of the story by any means. There's another problem, a far more serious conundrum associated with the murder of Sarah Everard. You see, the man, he's called Wayne Couzens, the man that was arrested, charged with her kidnapping and then with her murder. He's a police officer, and he's not just any beat Bobby either. He's a member of an elite unit. He's a member of the Police and Diplomatic Protection Squad. Now, if you want to know who they are, they're the guys you see tooled up with rifles and various other weapons outside Parliament, outside Number 10, outside Palace of Westminster. Their duties include protection of senior political figures, protection of government-owned buildings, ministries, Number 10, Downing Street, Palace of Westminster, etc., and providing security for senior government officials, prime ministers, etc., and also visiting ambassadors and diplomats and guests of the government as well. You see policemen at all these events, and these officers are there. They're all armed. They're all firearms trained. They're usually armed, and you see them basically watching over the safety of all the bigwigs in government. Not the royal family. The royal family have their own unit, which is the Royal Protection Squad, which is different. This is the police. This is the the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Command. That's what it's called. It's a different unit of the police force altogether. But basically, it's an elite unit, and he was a member of it. Wayne Couzens, Police Constable Wayne Couzens. There's of course a lot of them, you know, that defund the police people are saying, well, you know, why is this happening? Why are the forces of law and order, who are supposed to protect crime, solve crime, protect us from crime, protect women, you know, and quite rightly actually, you know, violence against women, the concern about violence against women, why are the forces of law and order, who are supposed to protect people from that, why are they the ones actually committing these crimes against humanity? And that's a valid question, actually. That's a perfectly valid question. You know, leaving aside my criticism of feminism, that is a perfectly valid question indeed. There's something over there. What's that? Is that a UFO? No. I was going to say it's a UFO over there. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a light shining. Just focus on that a minute. Let me see if I can get a closer look at it. There it is. I don't know what that is. You can't see it very clearly, but in this camera. But it's like a row of orange lights. I'll keep an eye on it just in case it turns into something interesting. Probably won't. Probably just a plane. That's not the subject of this video. UFOs are for another video. But there were several interesting facts I'm going to talk about now, and that is that PC Cousins was not the only person arrested on suspicion of this crime. There was a second arrest. A female was also arrested. Apparently this person was arrested as an accessory. They've not been charged with kidnapping and murder, but they were arrested as an accessory. Now, this hasn't been talked about very much for two reasons. Firstly, it goes against the feminist narrative, which is the light in the sky is just standing still. I don't know what it's doing. So that's. If it does anything interesting, I'll let you know. If it beams me up or something. It's not talked about much. It's not talked about. The actual second arrest of a woman is not talked about much. One of the reasons is, of course, because it breaches the feminist narrative. They want to say this evil white man did it, basically. Wayne Couzens is a white man. He's a 48-year-old from Deal in Kent. They want to pretend that's the case. If a woman is arrested as well as an accessory, then that sort of breaches that narrative. But there's another issue that I want to bring up. Another possibility I want to discuss what's really going on here. Could what happened to Sarah Everard be kind of a procurement gone wrong? What am I talking about, Ben? A procurement gone wrong? Well, we've got to go into some very dark areas. This is why I said it's much more serious than the feminist nonsense. It's far more serious than that. It's banking now. I think it's a plane with landing lights on. It's all right. I think it's just a plane. Yeah, plane with landing lights. It's. I don't know if you're familiar with Cathy O'Brien. There's many other people as well who talk about this. Basically, senior figures within the elite. It's getting darker now. The murderers will be out. Senior figures within the government and corporate elite. One of the things they do for entertainment is, I hardly bring myself to say it, abuse and kill people. There's a horrific series of films. I think it's a trilogy now. There are 3 of them called Hostel, which I feel like I need to watch them again for research. But I know it's just fiction, But if you watch them, and believe me, they're horrible films. What was awful is just to think, according to many witnesses, not just Cathy O'Brien, but many others within the insiders from within the government circles, say that actually does happen. Cathy O'Brien accuses over 150 people of crimes against humanity, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Brian Mulroney, the former Prime Minister of Canada, Miguel de la Madrid, former President of Mexico, many other very important people. None of them have ever sued her. Her and Mark Phillips' books are still in print. They won't give her a day in court. But there's many others as well who talk about this. That basically the government inside, they like to carry out the most horrific acts. Sometimes it's sexual abuse, sexual slavery. Sometimes it is literally killing people for fun. I mean, they carry out hunting parties, for example, where humans are the prey. They often use army recruits for that. And the elite will actually hunt them down and kill them. Sometimes using very sadistic means. There's the Hostel is about that. Hostel is about the elite people who basically order individuals, human beings, to torture and murder for fun. And Slaxer, I've got a lot of respect for Slaxer. He's a good guy, but sometimes he's way off the mark. Totally. He says, "Oh no, it's just human nature, mate. It's just human nature. They're no different to the rest of us. They're just people, just like the rest of us. They've just got more power." Really? Slaxer, Dave, would you say that's what you would do if you had the power? Come on, mate. Get real. There is an evil supernatural entity, supernatural forces at work in the world. No, it's the people ordered. I mean, it's usually children, but sometimes it's adults as well, who are ordered for the pleasure of the elite in committing crimes against humanity. But I'd like to just I'd just like to suggest an alternative scenario. Well, we haven't even been given a scenario now. We basically have just the police haven't said much except they've arrested one of their own and they're charging them with kidnapping and murder. There's going to be a trial in October now, so plenty of time to arrange a little suicide or coronavirus infection, isn't there? Alternative scenario, okay? Again, some of you won't like what I'm about to say, and I mean, of course, some of you will be upset by it, but I don't care. I don't apologise. Alternative scenario. Somebody high up in the elite ordered Sarah Everard. Now, the job of, very often you'll find what the witness say is that these elitists employ people to go out and get victims, to catch them, kidnap them. Very often it's members of their security detail who they basically brief in and say, look, if they're the right kind of person, psychopaths and that, they brief them in and they say, look, hey, do you want to make a bit of money on the side? I need you to do a bit of an extra job for me, you know. And so I could give myself a bit of extra light from my phone. But give you a bit of, that's better like that. Do you want to do a bit of extra work for me? I need you to do this extra job. And if they're sort of psychopathic, I need you to, like, basically kidnap a few people for various rituals. Could be satanic rituals, or sometimes it's just for fun. And if it's the right kind of person, they'll go out and do that. They'll go out and basically kidnap people and bring them to the elitist to die in horrible means by the sadistic nature of the person involved. And they get a bit of extra money for that. The question is, could Wayne Couzens have been one of these people? Someone ordered Sarah Everard. As I say, it's not always children. Sometimes it's an adult. Someone ordered her. He went out and got her. And the idea was he's supposed to deliver her to the elitists and she'd never be seen again. She'd be hung upside down, like the girl in the Hostel Part 2. Don't watch that scene if you're in any way squeamish. And that'll be the end of it. We'd never see her again. She'd just be one of the many long lists of names on the missing persons register, and that'll be the end of it. We never see her again. And then that's what would have happened. Now, something went wrong in this operation, and I don't know what it is. This scenario, okay, Couzens has gone out to kidnap someone. Maybe the woman they arrested was the driver. They go down in a car, they know she's walking across, they may have planted a bug on her, a beeper or something, and they know she was walking across Clapham Common. The plan was to get, to grab her, for Couzens to grab her, put her in the, bundle her into the boot, and drive off with her. Now, something went wrong. It could be that, the people at the operations control at CCTV, normally they probably get a call saying something like, could you please switch off cameras number 6, 7 and 8 in Clapham Common? And of course they just say, yes sir, they obey orders, they nodding dogs, And so they do it, they switch the CCTV cameras off, so there's no one ever sees it happening. Now what if that call never came through, or the controller was away at the toilet, or he was distracted, maybe it was a she and she was filing her nails, or anything that could have happened that meant that those CCTV cameras were left on while the kidnapping was taking place. So everyone in the control room sees Wayne Couzens bundling Sarah Everard into the boot of his car, and then they go, and then the woman who's driving, she takes off. So everybody in CCTV sees that. Oops, oh dear. Now what do? Everyone in the CCTV control room has seen it. You can't really cover that up, can you? So what do? You can't go to everyone in that control room, everyone on the shift, and say, do you mind not telling anyone about that? No. So what they do instead is they go to Plan B. Now, Plan B is basically the Couzens gets a radio call or a text on his phone or something saying, event 6, and some code word like that, which means basically he knows something's gone wrong, the secrecy of the operation has been blown. In the event of that happening, the event 6 code means he and his female accomplice take Sarah to the woods in Ashfield, in Kent, basically anywhere in the woods, they execute her, and then they just leave the body and go home. Now, you think that would be the end of it. Of course, if you think about what's happened, though, The controllers in the control room then have to be told a story. Well, what story they're told? What do you tell them? What you tell them is that this was basically someone kidnapped. You have to say, well, someone kidnapped Sarah, and they took her away. They can't pretend that didn't happen. So what they do, it's very simple. Cousins, the procurer, takes the rap. They immediately put out the story that basically he has kidnapped her and killed her independently of any instruction from anyone else. He's done it just because he's a pervert. It's his own sick pleasure, and he's just he's then arrested and charged. And there's no part of the organisational operation will come out. It'll just say, look, isn't it awful? The CCTV caught an image of this man kidnapping this woman. And what's he going to do? What's he going to do? He's going to say, honestly, I was just doing my job. I was just picking her up. This, lord or lady or Mr. whoever it was, the elitist, he told me to do this. He pays me. Look, that's not going to happen, is it? Mr. Lord or lady or just the head of the corporation or whoever it is in the elite who enjoys this sort of evil stuff and ordered Sarah Everard, their name's not going to come up, is it? They're going to get off scot-free. I'll just put the light on me now. They're going to get off scot-free. They're going to get off scot-free. And the fall guy is going to be the procurer. Although it's never going to be mentioned that he's a procurer. That is what possibly happened. I don't know. But I'm speculating, of course, but it is a distinct possibility that is actually what happened. The fact that it's so unusual, to have this kind of crime where such a senior elite police officer is actually involved. But then, of course, if you were an elitist, who would you go to find your procurers? You'd only find the most elite, trusted, and dedicated, and institutionalised members of the security forces. But then the downside, if you take that up, if you're the kind of psychopath who would do something like that, as many of those officers are not, of course, and they're not even approached. They're probably a psychological profile of them, saying don't ask this person. He's useless. He's a bit of a wimp. He's a softy. He doesn't have the stomach for it, as if that's a bad thing. Don't approach that person. He's got psychopathic tendencies. Get him to do it. Yeah. But of course, if it all goes wrong, if you bugger the whole thing up, the procurer takes the rap. And that should be a lesson to anyone, actually, who's even considering doing work for the Illuminati. You will receive no loyalty, you will receive no rewards, there will be no gratitude given to you for your services rendered. You will be thrown under the bus at the first opportunity. So, even if you're a psychopath, you understand self-preservation. That's the whole thing about being a psychopath, is you're focused solely on self-preservation. That should be reason enough for you not to do it. Yes, it's a lesson. It's a lesson for us all, I think. Don't serve them. Don't serve them. You're serving evil. You have to do evil at their bidding. And when it all goes wrong, all the people doing the evil, the organisers at the top of the pyramid don't get discovered. No, the underlings are the ones who are the scapegoats. And it could be that PC Wayne Cousins is just one of these people. In which case, well, it's karma come knocking, isn't it? But I feel no satisfaction if that's the case, because I don't want to live in a world where this sort of thing happens, where young women are kidnapped, or young men, or army recruits in the case of the hunting, or children. More often it's children kidnapped and then subjected to the most horrific deaths imaginable. It's literally like, it's like the farm murders. It's like the Illuminati explore and experiment with sadism in their killing. It even includes things such as cannibalism and stuff like that. I'm not kidding. I don't want to talk. I don't want to go into details because it's too horrible. But I know that this is speculation, but I think there's reason enough for me. It's speculation. It's justified speculation. It's reasonable speculation. And I know it's going to upset some of you. Some of you won't like this. I see some of you reaching for the unsub button right now as I speak. Tough. Too bad. I don't care. we talk about it, you see, talking about it and exposing this is how evil stops when people talk about it. So I make no apologies at all for anything I've said here. If any of Sarah's loved ones are watching this and you feel upset over what I've said, all I can say is it's not my intention to cause you pain. It's the exact opposite. However, I have a duty, we all have a duty, to speak the truth, though hell overfloweth. As it says in, I can't remember where in the Bible it says that. And I owe it. If we don't talk about this, to spare people's feelings, then it goes on. And other young women get kidnapped and killed. That's what, and children too. I want to live in a world where that doesn't happen, which means I want to live in a world where we can we talk about the problem, we integrate it, we put a stop to it, and we integrate the pain and suffering as a result of it. And then we can move forward in a world where atrocities like that do not happen. That's what I want. So I'm not sorry for anything I've said in this video. I am not sorry at all, and I apologise not. If there's an update, I'll let you know. I'll probably do another video. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching Herpanwo TV. Hospital Porter's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.